Yesterday was wild, and I feel that it was the first time that I dove deeper into the realm of envisioning my future and making it more real than my past, which is what this whole thing is all about in terms of the video that I made yesterday, right? So there's a difference between the Newtonian model of reality, cause and effect, and the quantum model of reality, which is basically the opposite, effecting a cause. Feeling the feelings, or the feeling, before the experience and before the event comes to life. Look at my hand. This thing is like blown out by the light of the sun. It's crazy. The light is with me. So, yeah, yesterday I spent a lot of time kind of like disidentifying from the past, but more so even like focusing on the crystal clear vision that I have for my future and feeling the feelings that correspond with all of that. If there's any background noise, I apologize. I'm right next to a highway. But it's so wild how often I'll bring the mic a little bit closer. It's so wild how often, like, I notice that my mind wants to kind of like revert or regress. I'll use regress here as the word. Regress back to the past and kind of just like, you know, stay stuck inside of the familiarity and the comfort, the emotions of the past. It's a very real thing, you know, and I've really begun to notice just how like seductive it is. It's easy to get caught up in all of that stuff. It really is. It's very easy to get caught up in the seductiveness of the past because it's like it's safe, it's familiar, and all of that stuff. And you know, the element of familiar, right? Familiarity, right? Again, family of origin. Everything that I've learned about everything that I know, I learned that I can question. Just because I learned something about something doesn't mean that it's true, right? If a person learns scarcity or lack around money, it doesn't mean that it's true. It does mean that they will experience that like that, but it doesn't mean that it's true, right? And this is the wild thing too. Like, what it is that we learn and what it is that we're used to will use us. And so, like, that's really what it is that I'm sitting with now and further grounding with and allowing myself to understand that the foundation for which I experience reality and life is outdated. It's outdated by belief systems that are actually just that, belief systems. And if I believe that, say for instance, just to make it simple, the exact opposite of what I've previously believed, right? If I believe that, you know, the world is a place of abundance and not scarcity, specifically in regards to money, right? Maybe I'm really focusing on trying to manifest my dreams, which of course is what I'm trying to focus on. If I hold a belief of scarcity and lack, I'm going to have a lot more challenging of a time manifesting because I'm going to, like, you can't really manifest something if you don't, like, believe it, if you don't see it, if you don't allow it to be real. Like, if I continue to allow my past to be more real than my future, then I'm only going to continue, and this is why it's called creating a predictable future based on a familiar past. The familiar past becomes the predictable future. That is the known. Now I'm stepping into the unknown, and it is uncomfortable because a lot of different things are changing, but it's like, it's possible. All I have to do is make my future, the emotions that entail my future, more real than everything that was my past, right? And the past is filled with unworth, it's filled with anxiety, it's filled with depression, it's filled with lack and scarcity, it's filled with fear and shame and guilt and all that stuff. But the more I really dive in to everything and as I dive into everything, everything dissolves. The more I realize just how, like, again, it's the same thing as what you're used to will use you. It doesn't mean that it's true. It doesn't mean that it's real. It just means that it's what a person is believing. And when you can actually look at your belief systems and recognize them as literally just that. Like, belief systems are just that. They're nothing more than that. They do shape a person's reality, absolutely, but they're nothing more than belief systems. Like, how wild is that? So if you can believe in scarcity, you can also believe in abundance. It's true. Like, you can believe in the exact opposite of what you have believed in your entire life. And as you believe in the exact opposite, you will experience the exact opposite. However, it is also 100% necessary to feel the feelings. So, like, scarcity, right? I'm getting excited. I love this stuff. Scarcity, right? It's familiar. It's familiar to feel scarcity. Not only is it familiar, it's actually also safe. Why is it safe? Because that's safety and familiarity are something that kind of go hand in hand with each other, right? Safety is a very familiar dynamic to childhood, right? But experiencing safety in the way that it was experienced in childhood, safety, especially in a traumatic childhood. I mean, every child's childhood, or every person's childhood to a certain extent is traumatic, right? But the way that they experienced safety, or the way that they learned to experience safety, had a lot to do with control, right? Because they felt like different ways of getting their needs met were actually scarce, or it was lacking. It wasn't there, right? To get their needs met in a healthy way, it was non-existent. It wasn't real. And so they learned to control, right? Rather than letting go and trusting.